it was just a movie.
This is, without a doubt, one of the most iconic attractions at Universal Studios Hollywood. After opening in 1996, Jurassic Park the Ride became one of the most heralded and impressive rides in theme park history. Now, the film Jurassic Park needs no introduction. Steven Spielberg's 1993 adaptation of Michael Crichton's novel has gathered one of the largest followings in film history, and it spawned a series of sequels that continue to this day. Outside the theater, its impact was obvious, and it was responsible for fascinating so many younger generations with dinosaurs. On the surface, the idea to make a theme park ride out of the film seemed obvious, but work on the ride was being done before the movie had even begun filming. Several years before the cameras began rolling on Jurassic Park, Universal was able to acquire the rights to Michael Crichton's novel the film was based on. It was immediately decided to turn the novel into an attraction at Universal's Hollywood Park, with inspiration being drawn not from the Land Cruisers that most of the tour took place in, but rather the famous sequence in which Grant and the children are pursued downriver by the Tyrannosaurus. After the film was released in 1993, it set a new standard for practical and digital effects in film. The blending of animatronics and CGI was superb, and the film grossed over $1 billion at the box office, a huge achievement for the time. Knowing full well that they had a hit on their hands, work continued on Jurassic Park the Ride, as the designers now had a much clearer vision thanks to the visuals of the film they could work off of. Construction of the ride was gradual and painstaking. Every area had to look natural and flow into the next. Of course, the most important part are the dinosaurs, which proved to be the most challenging aspect. Whereas the animatronics used on set of the film only had to look the part for the duration of filming, the animatronics used on the ride would have to endure constant operation and wear and tear over time. Working closely with Sarcos Robotics, who had developed robotic arms for use in space, animatronics were created that could recreate the fluid movements shown in the film. Combined with Universal's secret recipe for animatronic skins and a ride system designed by Vekoma, the same company responsible for the suspended looping coaster and more recent impressive designs, Jurassic Park the Ride was shaping up to be the most impressive attraction ever built as opening day fast approached. On August 12, 1996, Jurassic Park the Ride opened to the public with a massive ceremony spotlighted by the attendance of cast members Jeff Goldblum, Ariana Richards, and Joseph Mazzello. Steven Spielberg also attended the opening as he was heavily involved in the ride's design and construction. Spielberg left his mark on the ride, and this can still be seen today. Richard Attenborough even reprised his role as John Hammond for the pre-show videos seen in the ride's queue, explaining that after the disaster of the first movie, Jurassic Park was relocated to Universal Studios.
Perhaps I should just make note that the Costa Rica operation shut down back in '93. You might recall the wee problem we experienced, only due, I might say, to sabotage. Our Hollywood Park is better than ever and incorporates safety features that will ensure a Costa Rica incident could never happen again.
With a massive crowd in line for the attraction, the first boats were loaded and the ride began. After boarding the boat and ascending a small lift hill, the boats enter through the gates into the first area, Ultrasaur Lagoon. On the left of the boat, a mother Ultrasaurus communicates with her young on the right side of the boat. Beyond them, a group of Psittacosaurs graze along the shoreline. Passing through a cave, the boats enter the next area, Stegosaur Springs, where both a juvenile and adult Stegosaurus can be seen, as well as two Compsognathus fighting over a discarded box of popcorn. Ahead, the next area can be seen, Hadrosaur Cove. Before the boat can enter, however, a Parasaurolophus emerges from the water, pushing the boat off course into a blocked-off area. Alarms immediately begin to sound, and a park technician's voice can be heard over the intercom, stating that there's been a security failure. This is immediately apparent as the raptor pen, recognizable from the first film, has been broken through. Another tour boat is seen on the left, completely destroyed with no humans in sight. A Dilophosaurus still remains in the boat, chewing on a poncho. This scene contains an often overlooked Easter egg as a Mickey Mouse hat floats in the water by this boat. A running joke is that the name of the current operations manager of the ride is etched into the hat. After the boat passes by this scene, the roars of the Tyrannosaurus can be heard as one of the Ford Explorers from the first film falls over the surrounding wall, narrowly missing the boat. The boat approaches the Environmental Systems building and is abruptly ambushed by two Dilophosaurs, who shoot water at the riders. As the boat begins to ascend, the voice of the ride technician returns, informing the riders that an emergency evacuation is going to be attempted. On its way up, the boat is intercepted by two velociraptors, one of which emerges from the ceiling. Once at the top, with alarms blaring, pipes overhead are broken as the head of the Tyrannosaurus emerges, just out of reach of the riders. Once the boat has safely passed, the loud footsteps of the beast can be heard moving quickly. Original plans called for a scene where a Jurassic Park employee, played by a Universal staff member, would attempt to evacuate the boat, only to be attacked by a velociraptor. This idea, however, was never implemented. Ahead, a waterfall marks the point of the ride's final drop. As a computer voice counts down, the Tyrannosaurus emerges from behind the water as the boat begins its 85-foot descent into the lagoon below, creating a massive splash. After this successful escape, the boat returns to the station as one last Dilophosaurus shoots water at the riders. Jurassic Park the Ride was a massive success at the time of its opening, being praised for its detailed scenery and impressively smooth animatronics. The ride remained consistent in quality and maintained its popularity throughout the release of the subsequent films The Lost World Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 3. There was even a rumor at one point that the final T-Rex would be replaced by the then new Spinosaurus, but this proved to be false. Universal planned to bring the ride over to its other park in Florida, having it go where Men in Black: Alien Attack is now located. The construction was delayed so that Jurassic Park could instead be incorporated into the new second park, Islands of Adventure, where it would be a themed land instead of just the ride. In 1999, Islands of Adventure opened with Jurassic Park as an opening day attraction. This ride follows the same storyline as the Hollywood version, but has several changes. After the boat is knocked off course, a crashed boat can be seen with two Compsognathus fighting over the torn shirt of a Jurassic Park employee. The falling Ford Explorer is replaced by a box containing a live raptor. As the boat passes under the crate, it falls a short distance. The finale of the ride is also changed, as velociraptors and Dilophosaurs attack the boat. More dinosaurs can be heard trying to break into the building, and there's even a Jurassic Park 3 reference. The final encounter with the T-Rex is extended as the dinosaur makes its presence known as the boat slowly approaches it. Just as the T-Rex lunges toward the boat, the final drop begins with the signature splashdown at the end. The Islands of Adventure version of the ride was even replicated at Universal Studios in Osaka, Japan. However, this version is mirrored. What was once a right turn is now a left, and vice versa. Also, the animatronics in this version of the ride are improved, especially the Tyrannosaurus, which features incredibly smooth, lifelike movements. Universal Studios Singapore also has a Jurassic Park ride, but rather than a boat ride, it is a river rapid style ride with vastly different scenery than the other three versions. Despite being a refreshing take on the ride's story, the spinning nature of the rafts makes the animatronics difficult to see, and the final T-Rex encounter is underwhelming. Still, this was a welcome addition to the lineup of Jurassic Park rides the world over. Whereas the Jurassic Park rides in Orlando, Osaka, and Singapore have remained quite consistent in their operations over time, the original Hollywood attraction has had a series of changes and difficulties over the years. A few years after its opening, the final section of the ride had a musical score added, using music from the film's soundtrack. As of a refurbishment in 2016, the music has since been removed, returning the ride to the silence and footsteps of the Tyrannosaurus. The first T-Rex encounter has since been altered slightly when the low-hanging head of the dinosaur malfunctioned and leaked fluid onto some riders. Now, the head is still there, but it has been raised up substantially. The effect of the falling Ford Explorer has also proved to be unreliable. In recent years, the vehicle seldom falls, and when it does, it lacks the convincing speed it had closer to the ride's opening. Another change happens during Halloween Horror Nights, when the ride becomes Jurassic Park in the dark. In a nutshell, most of the lights in the indoor parts of the ride are turned off, and strobe lights are usually added to illuminate scenes of park scientists getting ripped apart by velociraptors, all set to Guns N' Roses' Welcome to the Jungle. More recently, as part of the animatronics maintenance, the skin colors of a few dinosaurs were altered, such as the T-Rex, which originally had an intimidating red stripe pattern on its head. Now it is a darker gray to match more closely to the film. Now we must address the elephant in the room, the animatronics' degradation over time. Comparing footage from the late 90s to present day, the difference is clear. The dinosaurs have lost their ability to move smoothly and realistically. Movements are now slow, jerky, and unimpressive compared to their original movements, which were fast, fluid, and extremely convincing. One could expect these creatures to be a maintenance nightmare due to their complex nature and presence in water, and that seems to be the case. For many years, the dinosaurs' lifelike movements were preserved well, but starting in the late 2000s, there was a noticeable drop in fluidity. The animatronics appeared weaker and faded. The final T-Rex rarely raises to its full height anymore. Some of these problems have been addressed in yearly refurbishments, but others remain present after all this time. Fans of the attraction believe that it deserves to go down for a lengthy refurbishment to repair the movements, but this has yet to happen. Despite the slower animatronics, the spirit of the ride remains intact. It's just a little less convincing. Although the years have not been kind to it in many ways, Jurassic Park the Ride remains a firm universal favorite. The attraction has its fans and is a staple of the parks, so it's unlikely that it will be going anywhere anytime soon. And with the recent releases of the Jurassic World movies, this is sure to only increase interest in the attraction. Considering the movie's success, many have said that a major overhaul for the ride is on the horizon. Although it is unknown what changes could be implemented, the ride will always be known for taking guests on an unforgettable river adventure.
This concludes your tranquil journey through the world of the dinosaurs.